Hey, so this video is about Virgo suns who have fire moons. So I'm going to break down a Virgo depending on if they have a Leo, Sagittarius, or an Aries moon. Okay, and that does make a difference. A lot of times people will say that they don't identify as their sun sign, or they don't understand astrology. And it's usually because they don't understand that it's very complex and there's a lot of other signs that you actually have in your chart besides your sun sign, and you might align more with your moon sign for a very particular reason, or maybe in certain situations you react more like your moon sign. And so it's important to know your birth information, such as if you have it, your time, the place, obviously the date, but the time is important because the moon changes every 2 to 3 days, and sometimes the moon stays in the same sign all day, right? But sometimes it might be the moon was in Libra for 2 days and then the moon is going into Scorpio on a particular day at 10 a.m. Well, that means anyone born 10 a.m. and on is going to have a moon in Scorpio. Okay, even though they were born the same day as someone else, they might have a different moon because the moon has now changed to a different sign. And so that's why it's important as much as possible. Now, if you don't have your exact birth time or place for various reasons, you can just look at the fact that if on the day you were born, if the date that you were born, the moon changed to another sign, just kind of, you can probably just read up on like the different moon signs and see like which one are you more like? Are you more like a moon in Libra? Are you more like a moon in Scorpio? What you have to understand about the moon is what you cannot really see. So a lot of times you can't guess someone's moon sign correctly unless you actually know them very intimately, as far as like, they're a family member, like this person and they're a part of your family, or they're your romantic partner or something like that. Like, it's very hard to know someone's moon sign off the bat. You can guess someone's rising, usually not their moon sign. Now, Virgo with a fire moon. So first of all, Virgo sun is earth. So this person, the sun is your core. And so even if you don't identify with your core itself and it doesn't really resonate with you, it is going to be very important to know what your sign, because it's going to be the way you kind of move about life. So even though you don't resonate with being a Virgo, or you might still have different ways about you that are very Virgo-like, but you don't realize it, right? And so the core self is the sun. It could also be your likes and your dislikes. So even if you don't feel like you're a Virgo, but you might really like analyzing things. You might like structure. You might like knowing things so that you can make sense of them. You might like to organize things, right? You might like things that flow in a certain order, things like that. You might prefer close, intimate friendships as opposed to having millions of friends, right? You might prefer more privacy, those types of things. So even though you might not feel like a Virgo, maybe you're like very outgoing because of other signs in your chart, you go about life in a Virgo way, and that would be your sun. Okay, now your moon sign. You're a fire moon, this fire moon person, or if maybe you're not a Virgo, but you're trying to figure out more about this. The Virgo moon person, the Virgo sun fire moon person is more expressive when they're upset. The moon is your emotional responses. And that's why I said everyone can't tell those things, because some people's emotions are outward and some are inward. And some people, respond in different ways. And so let's start off with, I'm gonna start with Virgo sun, Sag moon, because that's what I'm most familiar with as that pairing myself. All right, and so first of all, they're both mutable signs. So a person with a Virgo sun, Sag moon, mutable. And so for the most part, a lot of times Virgos have reputations for, not being, I don't think it's open-minded. I think it's much like people think Virgos want things a certain way and they're very particular and things like that. But it's like, well, if they are, it's because they think something makes sense. They're earth sign. So it's about what makes sense. It's not about like something that could be or would be or should be. It's like, what can we actually do? And so that's their energy that they carry. But Sagittarius is fire. So even if that person appears that way, they're also emotionally responsive to new ideas and possibilities. So this is a person who's probably not as rigid as other Virgos in certain aspects of their life. Maybe they are, but they're also someone who needs to feel purpose. So the Sag moon is ruled by Jupiter. Sag is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of luck and optimism. And so, and risk taking as well. So this Virgo actually might have responses to what they want. But the moon is what you desire and crave and what you emotionally need to feel secure. And so though this Virgo on the outside might be much like a Virgo, there's always going to be a part of them with that Sag moon, that mutable fire that wants to go everywhere and spread. Like there's going to be a part of their life that might not be as structured as the Virgo seems to be. So even though you can look at a Virgo and say, oh, they've got it down, they know how to do this, they know how to do that, or they're organized, and whatever the case is, a lot of Moon and Virgo suns, there's a part of their life that isn't as put together as another part of their life, because Sag wants and desires and wants to be expansive. And so some of these moon Sag Virgos might actually have problems with money. Actually, any of the fire signs can have problems with money. But I think that Aries and Sag can be the worst with it. Like Leo might be more generous and they like nice things, but Sagittarius wants. And Jupiter can be very like too consuming. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. And so some of these Moon and Sag Virgos might have issues with something. Impulse control, basically. And again, that's why I said, like, sometimes you can't see that. You're not going to see that from their rising. You're going to see that if you're close to them, usually. As far as, you know, for the most part, though, these people, I think Sag energy period tends to land on their feet. Sagittarius tends to land on their feet. And what I mean by that is, like, Sagittarius in general, like, they can go through really hard times. And some people can view them as like, oh, well, they're very smart, but they're kind of reckless. You know, Sagittarius has that reputation of being like, well, they're not really stable, right? That reputation of like, oh, but they're not really, you know, as organized or stable as they could be. Again, it depends on the whole chart. But in general, though, Sagittarius wants to explore. Remember, this is the sign that deals with like foreign places and exploration and adventure. So they don't view it the same way you view it. They view it as experience. Like, well, I'm going to go here and I want to experience this. And so the Sag Moon Virgo person is always restless. So first of all, Virgo is ruled by Mercury. And so that's dealing with communication in the mind and ideas. And then you have Sagittarius, which is not reckless, but energy that needs to move. It's mutable, which means it changes. And it's fire, which means it needs to go somewhere. It has to go. It cannot be contained. Sagittarius needs freedom. That's what you learn about. A lot of Sagittarius energy does not like being constricted, confined to something. They like freedom. And so, you know, that's what you're going to see in a lot of, you know, in these people. Like, they're going to need to do a lot of different things. They have a lot of hobbies. Their mind is always racing one way or the other. And sometimes they can have, you know, issues with staying focused, actually, because internally, remember the moon, internal, like they want so much, right? They want to do so much. They want to explore so much. Now, the moon Sag person is different than the sun Sag. The sun Sag might literally go to foreign places. The sun Sag might actually be out here doing things that are Sagittarius in energy. The Sag moon is going to be internally or in their own comfort zone doing things that are Sag-like. So that means exploring different hobbies, reading about different cultures, or maybe they keep things more internal. And so they might be someone who enjoys doing a lot of their like different hobbies. They might have one hobby, then they have another hobby, and they're trying to figure that out. Now, typically they're not going to be irresponsible, because that Virgo sun, remember, the Virgo is what you exude. And so to a certain extent, if you're trying to exude something, it's going to become your reality, right? And so typically the Virgo Sun Sag Moon person, even if they have vices and things that they let get out of control, they're never going to let their life get too out of control, because, you know, Virgo does care about presentation and about doing things in a way that seems perfect. I don't think all Virgos are perfectionists. I think most Virgos are perfectionists about something in their life. I don't resonate with like everything has to be perfect. I'm Sag Moon also, but I also have Leo in my chart. So I'm more like, I like things done right, but at the same time, I'm open to different ways of doing things, right? And there are certain things in my life that I'm like, it's not going to be perfect. Oh well, right? So I think that comes with age and time too. Last thing I want to talk about is their temper. Virgo was not known for having a temper. So if you have a Virgo who has a kind of explosive temper, they usually have a fire moon. And in particular, the fire moon is probably going to be Aries or Sagittarius. With Sagittarius, I think there's more purpose. It's not ego. When the Sag moon is upset and they express it, that's the moon, the emotional, they express it. So they're not going to come off as really emotional. The moon is ruling our emotions, but for the most part. Now, again, depends on the chart. Your moon is in the 4th house in Sag, their emotions might change, but they don't come out as an emotional person. Do you see what I'm saying? So like, some people are more comfortable expressing anger than hurt. Some people are more comfortable expressing hurt or sadness than anger. It depends on the person. When they're upset, they can, like Gemini energy, use words as weapons. Because remember, you have the Virgo ruled by Mercury, which is with communication and ideas and learning and words and writing and all those different things. And then you also have the Sag, who is the most intellectual of the fire signs. on paper, you look at it like they're about wisdom, and they're about, you know, understanding things and expansion and learning from other cultures or people, and, you know, ideas and things being using ideas to actually push forward and change things and make things better, and caring about society's progression and charging forth, all that type of stuff, right? And so, you know, that's what you have to, like, Virgo might help on a more micro level. Like Virgo might help someone directly related to them, or someone in their particular vicinity, or someone that they have to deal with, or they might be in helping service jobs. Whereas Sagittarius wants to help humanity, and they want to just be expansive with what they know and use that knowledge to push forward. Do you see the difference? So yeah, but sometimes they can have the explosive. Sag in general can be pretty blunt. Sag Sun, Sag Mercury, these people can, like, they say what it is, and they don't really mince words, especially the Mercury and Sag. Like, they don't mince words. Now, if they do, it's because they have other energies at play, because sometimes you have to have tact. You have to know how to talk to people, because sometimes you cannot use that very brash, you know, directness with every person in every situation. But sometimes a Moon and Sag Virgo person can kind of, that's how they get across, and that's how they deal with emotions. And sometimes they can be very expressive in a way that's kind of, you know, they can cut people down with words if they need to. So they're kind of like, you know, the Moon and Sag person can also change very quickly. They can change very quickly. Their moods might change, again, depending on the placement. Especially that Moon and Sag is in the 4th house, this person can change moods very quickly, easily, and sometimes that could be confusing for other people. But in general, it's an energy that tends to do well creatively together, because the Sag Moon gives that Virgo more of a push. It gives that Virgo more fire than that Virgo actually appears to have. Meaning, like, on the outside, it may be like they don't, but that moon is what drives them, and so that's, but they can use that energy sometimes. Now I want to go into Virgo with an Aries moon. Anyone with an Aries moon is a person who wants to protect their ego. And by ego, I simply mean this is a person who cares very much about their own understanding of themselves. And so sometimes you'll have the Leo. The Leo wants to protect how they appear to others. Now I know Leo, people think like the Leo is the ego, but Leo cares more about how other people perceive them. They care about shining. They care about those types of things. So the Leo moon person is going to care more about that. Aries is kind of always on the defense about themselves. Aries is the sign of self. It's the first sign of the zodiac. It's the baby. And so no matter how fierce and fiery this Aries moon Virgo comes off, they want to be nurtured. And it's almost like, because they're a baby, remember, and that's what people understand about Aries energy. Like, Aries can come, there's two parts of Aries. There's the baby. There's the, I want to explore, I want to have adventure, I'm a little bit naive, but I just want to explore. Then there's the more dominant, masculine, forthright, pushing forward, no one stands in my way, Aries energy. So, you know, some people have a mixture of both, and some people are more like one or the other. But that Aries energy moon person, one, they need activity. So this is a person that's not going to want to stay still. And so this is where you'll probably have like a Virgo person who, you know, a Virgo is usually some other, not as, let's say you have a sign where you already know what you're going to get from them, right? You already know what they're a risk taker. Well, you might get more of a Virgo that's a risk taker with this Aries moon. It's a very different energy. And when you put that energy in an earth sign, so they might appear kind of calm, collected, but when you do something, they need to feel excited. So they're going to feel excited on their own. They might be really into sports or activity. Or when you attack them or they feel attacked, that moon in Aries is going to react instantly. I think you have, with Moon in Sag and Moon in Leo, they won't always react off the bat, especially Moon in Sag. Like, they're going to kind of more feel the situation out a little bit before they respond. Moon in Aries always wants to protect the self. Remember, Virgo is a very private person, and usually they're private, but at the same time, Virgo energy can be very perceptive of themselves and how other people might view them. And so when you have that Aries moon, it's kind of like they can go on the defense. But also, these are people who can speak up for themselves. And I think this might be a good placement for some Virgos because, I mean, it depends on the person. Some Virgos can struggle with that self-actualization, standing up for themselves, saying what they need to say, being vocal, those things. They can struggle with that because of that. They're always critiquing themselves and, you know, oh, what if I do this wrong? What if I say this wrong? You know, that's what a lot of that reserved energy is with the Virgo. It's more so they're anxious or nervous about how they come across. Not that they're actually shy. Some of them might be. I think when you get them in certain places, you'll see that they're not shy. I think that you'll see like Virgo can, you know, there's certain signs Virgo gets along more and opens up a little bit more too, actually. But just talking about this Aries Moon Virgo person, you know, they're a pretty independent person. Virgo, because of that privacy, because of that reservedness, where they feel very comfortable though with themselves. Virgo and Pisces are very good with that. They're opposite signs, but they don't need a lot of people. Like a lot of them sometimes can just like find something on their own that they just like to do. They don't have to have a lot of that extra stuff going on. Like they can kind of, they're very introspective, I guess is the word I'm trying to say. Because of that, you know, because of that, Virgo can be comfortable with that, right? Alone, being alone. They don't have to have someone around them all the time necessarily. Doesn't mean they don't want to, but it just means like that's not what drives them. Whereas a Libra might be like, no, I need somebody next to me all the time, or I need someone to just talk to. Everybody needs someone to talk to, but you get what I'm saying. The Aries Moon, Aries does things by themselves. And sometimes you know Aries people that won't even ask you. They'll just do something. And you're just like, well, were you going to ask me? Or why didn't you ask me to come? Or why, you know, why did you make this decision for us? Aries, Moon, Virgo people can be very independent, which is pretty good. Like they don't have, and the moon is what you desire. The moon is going to be what you desire. It's your inner drive, right? It's what you, how you emotionally respond to things. Since Aries is not a very emotional sign, period. It's fire. It's cardinal fire. And that's why I said a lot of, even if you're not an Aries person, a lot of that Aries energy, even if it's Aries North Node, I know somebody with an Aries North Node who doesn't really have any Aries placements a lot. I think he has 2. But and he's a Virgo. But he actually is very active sports wise, which is something like looking, like not looking at him, but I'm like, you know, like, you know, pretty calm, laid back person, like, you know, pretty laid back, calm, cool person. But he has that Aries in his chart, so he's a very active person. Like he likes to do a lot of activities that require, you know, you to move your body, or require you to, you know, be active. Like he likes that, but that's that Aries energy. So even if you're someone who's more laid back, you're calm, you're just kind of more of a very like, you know, respectful person. You're kind of a chill person. That Aries energy is going to give that spark, and so that's when you'll see that. But what I really want to talk about also is just the Aries Moon Virgo person. When we talk about the independence piece, it helps Virgo because, like I said, Virgo can sometimes be inhibited, and Virgo can sometimes want to come across as like, I'm afraid to do this because I don't do it perfect, it's going to be a problem. Some Virgos are like that. And so what you'll see though with that, Aries Moon Virgos don't have that same feeling, because the moon is how your drive. How are you going to express this? How are you going to respond to things? And so instead of responding to situations with fear, your Virgo Sun Aries Moon person is going to be more bold, more courageous, not as afraid. So these are your Virgos that might have more of that. They might be really successful because they weren't afraid. Whereas you might have a Virgo who has a Virgo moon, or a Virgo with a Scorpio moon, or something that is a sign that makes them too stuck in well, what if that doesn't happen? Or if you have like like I said, a Virgo, or Virgo with an Earth moon, who, because you've never seen it happen, Virgo, you don't think it can happen, and you give up. And so that, you know, so Earth is great, but Earth can sometimes hold you back because you don't have that, Earth doesn't have the same passion that fire energy or that water energy might have, that emotional attachment. Okay. All right. So, yeah, so I think that's, you know, it could be good. It could be good in some ways. As far as emotionally goes, sometimes it's a little bit different because remember, it's not a very emotional sign in the first place. And those Sag can do things for the betterment of people, right? Sag needs freedom. And sometimes Sag moon might say, yo, back up for me. I need y'all to back up for me. I'm not in the mood for people right now because I need freedom and I have ideas and I need to explore those ideas. Aries moon sometimes, you know, can not have that same need for people or that need to help people, and so it can come out sometimes disconnected. Like they might be really passionate about you, because Aries can also be very passionate about who they care about, but it's not going to look the same way as it might look for someone else, because Aries moon actually wants to be baby. Aries wants nurturing, they want you to touch them, all that difference. That's Aries energy. They like touch a lot. All right, lastly, Leo Leo Moon and Virgo Sun. So I actually have the least experience with Leo Moons, even though I have a lot of experience with Leo energy. I have Leo in 2 of my personal planets. I have a lot of Leo people. I have Leo in my family. I have people who in my family who are not Leos, but they have Leo placements, like, you know, all this stuff. My dad was a Leo. I have a lot of Leo. Just, you know, I vibe really well with that energy. I like that energy a lot. And it's in my chart, so that probably makes sense. And so, but Leo moons are a little bit different than the other Leo placements. Leo moons need a lot of attention. Leo moons, and that's not bad because they'll give it back in return. So with your Virgo, what you have with a Virgo, Virgo wants to help. Virgo is a sign of help. So if a Virgo can help you, they will. Now, usually you're a Virgo sun person. So the sun is what you exude. The Virgo sun is going to help usually on a generic level, not looking at any other placements. They're going to help in a practical way. Here, or I have an idea for you, or why don't you try this? Like, they're going to help in a very practical way or help with information. Now, once you have that Virgo sun with that Leo moon, Leo, they like to shine, but they also care a lot about their family. They can be very generous. And anyone they consider their family, even if you're a friend or whoever you are, they're going to do right by you. And so when you have that Virgo need to help and provide resources or provide assistance to someone, or to fix the problem and, you know, figure it out, you're going to have a very, very probably generous person. So I think of all the fire signs with Virgo paired, Leo is the most generous. Leo is the most personable, more so than Sag and Aries. So even though I said that Sag is going to want to, besides themselves, they can do things that better others. They have that optimism. They have that drive. What they do tends to help other people. They care about those things being more broad. They care about the broad picture. Sag cares about the broad picture, right? But what you're going to have, though, with Leo is Leo's more personable, right? Leo cares about kids. Leo's very close with, not close with, but Leo energy is great with children. Whether they have them or not, they tend to have this really, they just like the kid whisperer, Leos. And so you can even see it with Leo parents. And so what you're going to have here is this person is going to be more loving and probably a little bit more affectionate. They're going to be more affectionate than your regular Virgo. The moon is what you crave, what you need, what you desire, and your emotional responses to things. And again, you can't always see that. But with fire moons, you can see it a little bit more. With fire moons, you can see it a little bit more than you can with any other moon. You're the Virgo moon, you're not going to know what their emotions are. But when you see a Virgo whose shell, even if their rising might be a different sign than Virgo. Some Virgos, it's the same. But when you see their shell, okay, they're Virgo, the way they operate as a Virgo or the Virgo sun. But then their expression is very strong. They're really affectionate. Well, that could be it could be Venus, Leo, but it could be a moon in Leo. They're very giving, but they're a Virgo, but they want more shine. They want more attention. They want more affection. Well, that's not a regular Virgo trait. Virgo wants acknowledgement. Virgo doesn't usually like or care about the attention. They care about the acknowledgement. And so what you're going to have there, a Virgo who's very demanding with like how they feel and how they want you to feel about them and what they want you to do for them. And like, I did this for you. Why can't you just do this for me? That's some Leo energy. And I'm not saying that can't translate to other signs, but that's Leo, Moon, Virgo, because they've done so much. Leo, Virgo, Sun, Leo, Moons can be very self-sacrificing, actually. But you better give them that attention back in return. But I think the positive thing about them is just how much they give to you. Like I said, a Virgo Sun with an Aries Moon, they'll take you around for the ride, but it's not going to be consistent. Moon and Aries is a very fiery energy. Even more, Sag is the mutable moon, right? But Aries is like, I gotta go, I gotta experience, I gotta go. Now, when you get Sagittarius is the oldest fire sign, right? It's the older one because it's almost towards the end with Pisces, right? So Sag is more chill. Though they're mutable, they have purpose because they're older. So they understand things in a more intellectual way with that wheel. Once you hit Leo, right? Leo's the middle child of the fire signs. And so Leo is now learning family and how to care for others, but also how to get the recognition and attention that you deserve. And so there you're going to have that Virgo who needs more. You see a Leo moon, don't get fooled by, oh, they're just a Virgo. They're chill, they're cool, they're calm. You're going to need to give them more attention, love, affection. You got to have to let them know that they're appreciated. But they're also intrinsically going to be motivated by being very expressive. A lot of times people don't understand, like, your moon can also give signs to to your creativity. I think sometimes people don't realize that. I think they think it always has to be Mars or Mercury, but I feel like your moon is what drives you. And if you're driven by Leo energy, you're going to be driven to do things in a creative way. You might have expressed love or emotions in a creative way, in a different way, in some aspects of that. As I said, Sagittarius is going to be interested and they're going to know a lot about different cultures. And somebody might say, oh, well, that's your Mercury. But your moon is what drives you. It's what you want. It's what you desire. It's how you feel comfortable. And the moon can get, and that's why I think the moon is deeper than just emotions and responses. Your moon is what you want. It's what drives you. It's what makes you feel comfortable, right? It's what deep underneath it all, when you're not showing the sun anymore, right? The sun is what you're showing out. The rising is how other people view you, but the sun is what you are consciously, even if you don't agree with your sun sign, whatever, it's what you consciously are exuding, or the way that you're living your life, right? You have that signature energy, even if you don't realize it. But the moon is what you feel comfortable with, what you feel comfortable doing. That's your security, the moon. And that's why it's deeper than just emotions. And that's why sometimes, like when I talk about the moon, I don't even really talk about, you can talk about relationships too, because the moon is very important, because the moon is also symbolic of mother. And so your moon sign can also deal with those things too. And so the last thing I'm going to do is just talk about what a Virgo fire moon needs from their mother, because the moon is also linked to mother. And a lot of people think it means what your mom was like. I view it more, and some other astrologers view, the moon is more like what you, with that particular sign, view your mom as, or what you need from your mom. A Virgo with a Sag moon needs a parent, a mom, because the moon recognizes is related to the mom. He's a mom who lets them be free. Doesn't let them be confined. First of all, the person's already a Virgo. They're really not going to be that much of a rebel. But when they want to express themselves, when they want to experience new things, give them that creative freedom. Be open-minded, because the Sag Moon kids is going to have a lot of interest, and just be open-minded to those interests. Let them explore, let them experience things on their own. Let them have their own little hobbies without having to include someone else. Sometimes people want to force kids. That's great. Yes, you should be socializing, but you want to force them into dance class and this class and that class. And sometimes you need to let that Moon and Sag kid develop their own hobbies and talents, and kind of let them go. And with that, Moon and Sag is also going to look to their mom for wisdom. Moon and Sag people carry a lot of their mom's wisdom with them. They carry a lot of it. They actually listen to it, because Sag is a sign of wisdom, but they look at their mom as like lessons that they've learned. And so even if that seems like they're not listening to you yet, the Sag and Moon person internalizes a lot of what their mother teaches them. Moon and Aries, if you're a Virgo with an Aries moon, what did you need from your mom? How did you view your mom? She was kind of, adventurous. So this might be a kid that needs outlets. And like I said before, the moon in Aries, no, they need outlets. They need physical activity. They need things that are outside of just the Virgo realm of just reading, writing, analyzing. So really think through ways that you can help them explore those different needs. They also need someone who is not afraid to take, like structure and tradition is going to be harder for that Moon and Aries person. You might also want to, so they might view their mom. They want to view their mom might be viewed as somebody who's able to give them opportunity to be adventurous. If you stifle them and say, no, you can't play football. Well, football, some people don't like it because of the medical research, CTE, all that stuff. But I'm just giving an example, okay? You can't play football because you might get you can't play baseball. You can't play, you can get hurt from anything, actually. It doesn't matter what it is, but you actually want to give them an outlet. So if you don't like the sport they're doing, find them another outlet, because that Moon and Aries kid needs to express themselves. Or if you're a Moon and Aries person, Virgo, you might have wanted or had experience where your mom was fiery. She was open to, fiery maybe in personality, someone who's just very, blunt and taught you to stand up for yourself and those type of things. And allow them to stand up for themselves. And teach them how to do it in a way that's not offensive, because Moon and Aries can come off like, ooh, like Sag has the gift of the gab, Sagittarius energy, so they can come off and they can come at you, but it's like, whoa, you said that so well. You're right. But Aries can it sometimes needs to be said, Aries, but come on. What did you need, or what might you view your mom as if you're Leo? Virgo, Sun. So first of all, Virgo needs a lot of reassurance. And so for this one, you need to make sure you give your child, or if your mom hopefully was able to give you a lot of reassurance. Okay. a lot of validation. I mean, especially with children. Like, I know that when you get older and an adult, like, you just gotta find where you fit in. Like, seeking validation from everybody in the world is weird to me. Like, you're not going to get everyone's sign of approval. Okay, there's people who don't even like Beyonce. Everyone likes Beyonce, loves Beyonce, but there's people who don't. Like, you know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. You can't. But as a child, Virgo can have a lot of insecurities. Even as an adult, Virgo energy has a lot of insecurities. They want to be perfectionists, but they're also afraid to take, you know, stuff. And so with the Leo though energy, they need that love and affection, and they also need creative outlets. If you're just trying to force the kid, or your mom was just trying to force you to just read and write and do math and be a scholar, that's wonderful. But the moon needs, and that's why I said, if you start paying attention to people's moon sign and what they do, like what they do when they're by themselves, the moon is not out. The moon is inward. When you pay attention to that, you see a lot of common trends. But yeah, you know, you got to give them outlet to be creative. You know, you have to let them. Sometimes they're not going to want to do things the same way other people do. They want to shine in their own way, and just, you know, without making them egotistical, because Leo and Aries can kind of be egotistical. Of the fire signs, Aries and Leo. Aries, because Aries can think very highly of themselves, because they don't have that same block of filters as everybody else. They're newborn. And I don't mean like, obviously I'm not saying you are newborn, because there are Aries who are very mature, but I'm saying like, you're just like, I'm here to explore. You know, I'm me. I know what I'm talking about. They haven't learned all those lessons yet on the astrological wheel in the way that some of them present. So they want to be important, but that's because of that infant baby thing. I'm not calling them an infant baby. I'm not saying you are. I'm saying their first sign. You're the first sign. If you look, it's like the baby, and then I think it's like the toddler, and then Gemini is like the teenager, right? You go through that wheel. I'll look it up. I have it somewhere. Yeah, so that's basically it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.